All right, I would kind of like to maybe go over some exponential logarithmic type equations, hopefully to help you out as you are preparing for the test. Many of y'all are getting busy. Some of y'all are putting things off, and I'm just really, really nervous about it that you might not do very well on the next test. So please, please, please get busy. Anyway, let's look at an exponential equation. An exponential equation looks like this. 2 cubed is 8. All right? With each exponential equation, and the reason why it's called exponential equation is one, it has an exponent. The other one is as an equal sign. So, an exponential equation consists of a base, the exponent, and what I just call the number. Don't worry about why I call it the number. It's just what I call it. Okay? It's not maybe correct lingo, but you just have to need to know that there are 3 items in just about every exponential equation that you need to be able to identify, and the same thing in a logarithm. So here is an exponential equation. Let's look at another one. This time, I'm going to leave the exponent as an unknown. Now, you can look at that probably and say, oh, well, x is 2 because 10 squared is 100. Well, that's great. Okay. And hopefully you did recognize that. But there's sometimes we have equations where we don't know the exponent. So that leads us to, well, how do we find the exponent? Well, the way we find the exponent is by changing the exponential equation to a logarithm. Because a logarithm of a number is an exponent. So you notice that I did say logarithm of a number. And therefore, that's my number in my exponential equation. That is my base. That is my exponent. So if I rewrite this as a logarithm, 10 is my base, 100 is my number, and if I put that into my calculator, now your calculator, one thing about it, if you look at your calculators, you just see the LOG button and the LN. These 2 buttons are both logarithms. This logarithm deals with bases of 10. This logarithm deals with bases of e. There are more bases, obviously, than 10 or e, but they're the most commonly used, so they get their own button on the calculator. So I can enter, now in this calculator it's a little different, but I can enter 100 log and I get 2. And that is true because 10 squared is 100. So your calculator does base 10. We can't put log 8 and get 2 on our calculator right now because of the base factor, but I'll show you how to do that one here shortly. So, you've got the logarithm of a number gives us the exponent. And if you look at a logarithm, you still have what we call the base. We still have what we call the exponent. And we also have what we call the number. Same thing here. We have a base is 10. The exponent is 2. And the number is 100. So what you have to do to solve these equations is to know how to change from logarithm to exponential form and vice versa. So if you're solving for the exponent, you change it to a logarithm. If you're solving for the number, you change it to the exponential equation. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. And again, we're just going to deal with base 10. Most of the time when you see equations where the base is not written, we assume it's 10. But I'm going to write it just so you kind of understand what's going on here. Let's just say I wanted to solve, and that's the only change when you're solving. Log base 10 of x equals 3. Well, I change to the exponential form, where I know that 10 is my base, 3 is my exponent, x is my number. Then I can put that into my calculator to get x is 1,000. Okay? So that's what you need to do to solve for logarithms. Now, this expression here can be x, it can be x plus 1, 2x, whatever it is, that's always your number. And you're saying, but it's not a number. But yes, yeah, it is. Because that's what we called it. And it represents a number. We just don't know what it is yet. Okay? So let's look at the one we did earlier and pretend, that I didn't know that number. We're just using a different base this time, but we change it. So I change to 2 cubed is x, put it into my calculator, 8 is x, so 2 cubed is 8. So remember, when you're solving, always solve vertically, like simplify vertically. Don't simplify horizontally. Many people do that, and it just messes you up when you're solving. Because, see, we can change this oftentimes, and I can say, well, this is log base 3 of x plus 1 equals 2.1. So again, keep in mind the number on the right side of the equal sign of a logarithm. When the log is on one side, the number's on the other. This is your exponent. Always remember that. So if this is your exponent, this is your base. Well, I know that I write that down, base to the exponent. The only thing left is your number. Now, I normally don't like my variable on the right side, so I just interchange sides, and then I've got to enter that into my calculator. So, depending on your calculator, in this calculator, this has a y to the x button. You may have, and we've talked about this before, that button that looks like that, that's raised to the power. So I can do 3 y to the x 2.1 equals, and I get 10.045. So again, I'm simplifying vertically. Then I subtract 1 to get 9.045, and that's my x. Okay? So just keep in mind that when you're solving logarithms, you change them to exponential equations. So if I want to solve this time an exponential equation, so let's say I wanted to solve 2 to the x power is 8. Well, we know it's 3. Hopefully you remember, because we've done this twice already. But I need to change to a logarithm. So I write the log function down. The log function by itself means nothing. It's kind of like the square root function. You got to have a number with it. And I know that 2 is my base, 8 is my number, and the exponent goes on the other side. So then what I know is x is log base 2 of 8. Now, you can't put log 8 into your calculator because your calculator is defaulted at base 10. We have to do base 2. So what we do is we do what's called our change of base formula. And we put into our calculator log 8 divided by log 2. That allows us to change our base on our calculator from 10 to 2. If you're using a graphing calculator or other calculators that allows you to type everything in at once, make sure you close your parentheses. On this calculator, I got to kind of do it backwards. I do 8 log divided by 2 log, and I have to hit equals to get 3. And we know that's 3 because we did it earlier. X is 3. So 2 to the third is 8. And one good thing about these equations, many good things, there's not many steps involved, and they're easy to check because most of the time you're just going to have one value in your exponent. Sometimes you may have more than that, but you only have one. So, just a couple more examples, little explanation, how I teach it in my classes. But the best thing I can tell you always to remember is for logarithms, you're going to have a base to the exponent. Excuse me, that's exponential form. For logarithm form, you're going to have log of the base of the number equals your exponent. And for exponential form, you're going to have base to the exponent gives you the number. So don't overcomplicate it. Just go from this form to this form and just put the appropriate numbers where they go. And then solve for what's left. Now, the natural log form, the base is e. So it's ln, it's not in. You'll never see the base written because it's the only base it has. But we know the base is e. So the setup is still the same. The only difference is the base doesn't ever change, always e. So again, you have your base, you have your number, and it's equal to your exponent. Over here, you have your base to the exponent equals the number. So try not to get confused with where the exponent is. So hopefully this will help you if you're having trouble with this. A lot of times it's how to use the calculator. So if you ever have questions about that, I'll try to do my best to help. So as we move forward, April 22nd, the exam 3 is due, and that's going to give you a week and a half to study for the final. Make sure you've either looked into where you're going to get it proctored, or if you've not already signed up for an appointment, look there. Know what you have to bring for the final, and all that information is in the proctoring FAQ section. So I get several emails about, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? It's in there. So just read it. You'll forget it quicker than you will hearing from me. So read it, know what you have to do, what you're allowed to bring. And when you prepare for the final, you need to prepare as you would if you were taking it. So you get 1 page front and back of notes, whatever you want to put on it. I don't care what it is. It's just 1 page front and back. So when you do the practice, you should create your sheet of notes and then take the practice final just using those notes. And that way maybe you won't be so nervous. So anyway, I'll be sending out email reminders, but I thought I'd give you another reminder on the video. So have a good weekend and good luck.